Let's introduce our talent and then get right into some goalball stuff. So first, we have from Oregon, Miss Eliana Mason. Go ahead, Eliana. Say hi to
everyone. Like Josh said, I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I am a Paralympian from 2016 in the sport of goalball, and I'm really excited to be teaching everyone today.
Thank you, thank you. And we have Callahan Young from Irwin, Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to teach everyone goalball and see everyone's skills improve.
Yeah, so we're super, super excited. So I'm going to turn it over to them. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with some warm-up stretches. Then Callahan and Eliana are going to get into some great goalball skills. And then we're going to end it with you guys with a chance to learn a little bit more about them and their Paralympic journeys and ask them some questions. So take it away, guys.
All right. Well, first, before any time you go to the gym or work out or play goalball, you want to do a warm-up. So we wanted to run you guys through a little warm-up. So everybody stand on up if you're not already standing. And Josh, we wanted to do about 5 minutes of warm-up, so will you help keep the time going?
Of course.
Okay. Cal, do you want to do the first exercise?
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is arm circles, where you're going to put your arms straight out to the sides. And we're going to do 10 circles to the front, where you're just slowly circling your arms backwards. And we're going to do that 10 times. And then you're going to reverse and do 10 more going forward.
Nice big arm circles. It should help you stretching your shoulders, getting the blood flowing, loosening up your arms.
Cool. That should be good. So if you want to do the next one, Eliana.
Yeah, so the next one we call it toe touches. So you're going to stick your 1 foot out, and you're going to try to touch it up in the air with the opposite hand to opposite toe. So I'm going to stick my right foot up in the air, and I'm trying to touch it with my left hand and keeping my leg as straight as possible. And then I'm going to switch, and every time try to kick a little bit higher. This should be a good stretch in your hamstring, getting your leg warmed up, and just kick up slowly, touch it if you can. If not, as close as you can get, and then switch. And now I'm kicking my left foot up, touching my toes with my right hand. All right, Cal, you can do the next one.
Okay, so the next one, we're going to do arm pulled across your chest. What you're going to do is you're going to take your right arm, put it across your chest, using your left arm, your left hand to grab your right shoulder, and pulling that arm across your chest to really stretch out your shoulders again. You want to make sure you stay nice and loose up here because goalball is a lot of shoulder movements. And so we're going to spend about 30 seconds on each arm. Okay, now we're going to switch. You're going to put your left arm across your body, grabbing your left shoulder with your right hand and pulling it across your body. We'll do this one for another 30 seconds as well. Cool. And that's that. So you can do the next one, Eliana.
All right, so last one we'll do. So we're trying to, get the arms warm, get the legs warm, hips warm. So in goalball, a big part of it is using your hips and getting up and down off the ground and moving around. So this stretch, I want you to step forward into a lunge. So put your left foot forward, get into a lunge position, and then if your left leg is forward, take your left hand, put it in the air, and lean backwards. And you should be feeling it in your right hip.
Very good, very good.
We're going to hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I want everyone to switch. So put your right leg forward. You're in that lunge position. And then you put your right arm in the air and you lean back into it and feel that through your hip. And we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that was just a little mini warm up. Everyone should feel like a little bit looser and ready to get into some motions. So I saw that we had a lot of first timers in the chat. And so with Goalball, you have the component of offense and you have the component of defense. So we're gonna do a little drill to provide some like teaching and education on each of those aspects of it. So we're gonna start first with a defensive drill. And I'm gonna describe it while Callahan visually does it. So if you wanna put him on your screen, if anyone's trying to visually see it, he'll go through the motions as I can audio describe it to you guys. Does that sound good with everyone?
Yeah, so if you guys want, you can pin Callahan's screen so you can see him and you'll still be able to hear Eliana describe the motions he's doing. So go ahead, if you're able to see and you have some vision and you want to be able to see Callahan, go ahead and pin his screen. Just move your mouse over his box, click 3 dots, and you can hit pin video.
All right, so for defense, you're trying to block the ball with your body. We kind of describe goalball sometimes as reverse dodgeball. You want to get hit with the ball. So the goal is to have really strong, good defensive form and make your body as long as possible. So the drill we're going to start with is I want everybody to lay on the ground on their side. We call this a cannonball drill. So you're in the fetal position, so tuck your knees up to your chest and your arms are around your knees. And what we're going to do is we're going to practice shooting out our hands and our feet to make our bodies as long as possible to cover as much of the court as possible. So as Callahan just did, he shot his hands and feet out. So with that, I have 3 target cues I want you guys to be aware of with your body when you shoot out. So Callahan, if you can go back out into the dive position. So his hands are wrists together, fingers are splayed, and his bottom arm is off the ground. His hands are not flat on the ground, they're up. A ball is not going to go underneath of his hands, so he wants to have his hands strong, so he'll stop it, and he wants to have them off the ground so the ball doesn't ramp over his hands. So when you dive out, first cue, strong hands, out, wrists are off the ground. Second cue is his head. So big part of goalball, protect your face, okay? You don't want your face, so Callahan, stick your face forward, show them bad form. You don't want like your head just hanging out. So tuck your chin down to your shoulder. So second cue is when you're dived out, is your chin touching your shoulder. We kind of like tell some of the new younger goalball athletes, kiss your shoulder. That's how we tell them to remember head tucked out of the way. And the third cue is your feet. So with your legs out, you have your top leg and you want it slightly in front of your bottom leg. If they're stacked on top of each other, or if it's behind, you'll make a ramp and the ball's gonna go right over you. So your top foot and your top leg, we call it like make it a wall or a roof. Put it slightly in front of that with your feet are off the ground, your toes are pointed, and your legs are flexed. So if the ball hits your feet or anywhere between your legs, you're stopping it, clear with your body. And also look at Callahan, he's leaning slightly forward. If he leans back, he's gonna make a ramp and the ball is gonna go right over him. So the whole goal is to put your body in a really strong, firm position that's gonna block the ball and not let it hit you and ramp over you. So again, the 3 cues are hands, head, and feet. So I want everybody to get back into the starting position of the cannonball, and I want you to practice 5 times shooting out. And when you do that, every time you do it, shoot out, check your hands, check your head, check your feet, and then go back to your ready position.
Very nice, guys.
Awesome. Keep going, and after you do 5 times, switch sides. So if you started on your left hip and you're shooting out with your right hand and your right leg on top, switch over, go to your right hip, and shoot out with your left hand and your left leg on top. Just to kind of let your body feel. So there's different techniques with goalball. Some people dive both ways. They want to dive with their feet to the ball. Some people pick one side and stick with it. I personally feel more comfortable diving onto my left side. So I always dive that way. Callahan is really good at going to both sides. So he kind of switches his position based on where the ball is going. So it's just a preference. But for this right now, for what we're doing, I want you guys to try both sides. And then I want you to determine if you have a side that feels more comfortable to dive on. And if so, maybe put it in the chat or somehow communicate that so we know if you guys have a side that's more comfortable to you.
Good job, guys. Go ahead and get those slides in. Practice. Defense is what wins championships, especially in goalball.
Absolutely. So if they can't score on you, they can't win. You'll be able to sneak some goals in, but if you can play solid goal line level defense, that's how you're going to win championships. And remember, the most important thing is protecting your face. So chin to that shoulder. It's really, really important.
Good job, good job. Last couple slides in. I see everyone trying it. Summer, good job.
Awesome, guys. Loving it.
Very nice. Callahan's getting his last few slides in. I love it. I love it.
So did everyone discover if they have a side that they feel more comfortable on?
We'll give them a second to see. I saw people doing both. Very nice, very nice. Defense is good.
Awesome.
Okay, so now we're going to switch over to an offensive drill, right?
Yes. Well, one more thing actually with defense, I just remembered. So we showed you guys that drill, the cannonball drill. But when you're actually playing in a goalball game, you're not starting on your side with your knees to your chest. That's just a drill that you can do. I used to do it in front of the TV. If I was watching a show, I'd like spend all the commercial breaks practicing like just strong hands, strong feet. But in goalball, when you're actually playing and listening for the ball, you're on your feet and your knees and your hands. So I don't know, Cal, if you are able to help demonstrate a ready position. I can also try a little bit. So everyone has a preferred one. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I personally have my hands on the ground, both palms touching the ground, and then I have my right leg kind of out to the side so I can push off of it, and I have I'm sitting back more on my left heel. You can also just try both knees on the ground with your hands. Either, this is a work in progress. My ready position in the past 9 years has completely changed. But the reason I bring this up is we're going to do a drill at the end of today. And I want you all, and I know it's so in goalball, we wear elbow pads, hip pads, knee pads. So I don't want you guys just throwing your bodies onto the floor without that gear. But I do want you to understand that when we are in a game, we're starting on our hands or our knees, and we're on our hands and knees. So when we do our drill today at the end, I want you to start on your hands and knees and then slowly go down onto your hip, and then from your hip, shoot out into the good defensive position. So did that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, and so for me as well, I'm 6'7", and so my starting defensive stance is also going to be changing. And so I actually start on my hip, but that's just because as a taller individual, that's what works best for me, and that's what's allowing me to be quicker to get block the ball. And so everyone's going to have a little bit different form. Some things are going to work for certain people, and certain things are not going to work for you. So it's just all about playing around and seeing what works best for your skill and your defense.
So if everyone's feeling kind of confident a little bit with some defense and feeling good about that, I think we're definitely ready to move onto offense.
Good.
Okay, Josh, are you going to have them pin Eliana's screen as she's the guinea pig for this one?
Yes, we can. So if you guys want to, Callahan's going to be leading the offensive drills. So go ahead and pin Eliana's camera. So if you can see her demonstration, if you have some vision, if you pin her camera, it'll be a little bit bigger and you'll be able to see her go through the motions that Callahan's describing for offense, okay?
Josh, is this an okay angle? Should I move the camera?
If you move the camera down just a little bit more. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. If one of the biggest things before we get started is maybe if some people could message into the group if you're right-handed or left-handed, because that'll be beneficial to know. But getting started, throwing a goal ball is almost like rolling a bowling ball, where you take a three-step approach. You come low to the ground, bringing your fingertips close to the ground, and then coming through and releasing the ball. So if you've ever been bowling, it's that same general movement pattern. And so the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to line up with your feet together with enough space in front of you where you can take 3 to 4 steps. And for me, I start with my left foot, my right foot, and then my left foot. So if everyone wants to practice taking this 3 steps, not necessarily moving your arms yet, because that's the next phase of this process. But once you get those 3 steps down, then we can start integrating all the arm and ball movements as well.
Really quick, Cal, we have 2 people in the chat saying they're left-handed. We got 2 left-handers.
Ooh,
Okay,
lefty.
perfect. So with a left-handed, it might be more beneficial to you to take a right foot, a left foot, then a right foot. So doing the opposite. But after the footwork, everything else is pretty similar in what is going to occur. So let me know, Josh, if they're looking good or.
They're trying it out. I can see one of our participants is trying it out. We'll give
Cool.
reps.
I dig it.
Want
Okay.
that third step you take to be a little bigger and more, you're stepping into that lunge. So the third step is into the lunge.
Okay, so now that we've got these 3 steps down pretty well, so the next phase of this process is going to be the ball movement. So in my first step, I'm bringing the ball, I have the ball at my side. My second step, I'm bringing the ball back. And then on that third step, I'm going to take a real big lunge, come real close to the ground, and pulling that ball forward and rolling it like a bowling ball. So here again, you take the first step, it's still at your side. The second step, it's coming back. And the third step is a real big lunge, and you're coming through like you're throwing it just like you're bowling. You know, you don't want to hit it too hard into the ground because or else you'll break the lane, and we don't want to do that. And you want to follow through. And so then the last part of this is your fourth step, which is going to be a follow-through step. So you're going to release the ball with that last big lunge, and then you're going to take one more step as a follow-through. How are they looking, Josh?
Good. Very good. I see nice low steps. Same approach, just like Callahan said. Bowling is the closest sport we can relate to our throws. So it's all about getting it nice and low to the ground, getting it going towards the other goal, and hopefully you can hit it right off their arms and legs and get it into the net.
Exactly. We're going to be – oh, you go ahead.
I was just going to say in goal ball, the ball has to hit the ground before a certain line. So that's why you have to make sure it gets low. Otherwise, you can get a penalty.
Cal, do you want to go ahead and demonstrate some of your steps too while we give people another minute or so to get their reps in?
Yeah, totally. My trusted helper fix the camera. Okay, am I good?
Callahan's very tall, so yeah, frame.
I'm 6'7" here again, so I'm very large. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm stepping forward with my left foot. Stepping forward with my left foot. That's my first step. Stepping with my right foot, bringing that ball back. Taking a big step with my left foot and coming through with the ball and then doing a follow through.
Cal, can you go to your side in front of the fireplace, left to right, so you can see from the side?
Ooh, fantastic idea.
There you go. Move the camera down a little bit, please. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking a left foot, bringing the ball back. Right foot, the ball's coming back. Left foot is a big lunge, coming through. And the fourth step is that follow through. Again, taking that left foot, ball's at my hip. Right foot, ball's coming back. Big last lunge, coming through. Right foot follow through.
Very good.
Now for you left-handed folks, this is going to be the opposite. So you're going to start with your right foot forward, your left foot for your second foot, ball coming back, big last step, and lunge and come through.
Yes. So when I teach throws too, I also like to tell people what I think about is when you take that last big lunge step, think about your fingertips, whatever hand you're throwing the ball with. So if you're left-handed, it'll be your left hand. If you're right-handed, it'll be your right hand. Think about those fingertips brushing the floor as you go. Almost like you're bringing the ball up, down to the ground, and you're going to give it a big push as soon as it hits the ground.
Yeah, and as Eliana said, we need to make sure the ball hits the ground, or else it will be a what's called a high ball, and you have to defend a penalty after that. So always trying to avoid penalties.
Yes.
The penalty means you have to defend the entire court by yourself, all 9 meters. So it's basically like you're out there on your own, and penalties can make or break a game. So.
Yes. They're good. Does anybody have any questions so far? If you have a question, take a second, grab a drink of water really quick. You can type your question in the chat before we move on to our next thing, if anyone has any questions. So while we're waiting for questions, what I'll do before we show some of our next skills is really quick, for those of you who don't know anything about goalball, I'll give you some of the background. So goalball was made after World War II for athletes who were visually impaired or blind coming back from the war. And what makes goalball really, really cool is in sports for athletes who are blind, most of those sports are individual sports, but goalball is a team sport. So here's a brief overview of goalball. So we've learned some of the skills, defense and throwing, but overall gameplay, if you're not familiar, so you play inside on a court about the same size as a volleyball court, and during the game, everyone wears a blindfold. So whether you have some vision or you're totally blind, everyone's wearing a blindfold, so it's an even playing field. And you're playing on a team of 3. So it's 3 versus 3, and you're on the court, and each court has lines, just like any other court. So out of bounds, a front line, the sidelines. But what makes goalball cool, all the lines are tactile. So they have string underneath them. So even though I'm totally blind during the game, I can feel where the lines are and I know where to go. Then one team will start with the ball. It's about the size of a basketball, big basketball that has bells in it, and it's a little bit heavier. It weighs about 3 pounds. And like we just saw, one team's going to start with that ball. They're going to line up at their goal, and they're going to roll it as hard as they can to the other team. Then the other team's going to listen, and when they hear it, they're going to dive out like we practiced earlier, and they're going to block that ball. So we have a question from Jody. How many players are on the field during a game for each team? 3. So you can have up to 6 players. There are substitutions, but 3. Oh, there we go. Eliana brought a goal ball. So this is a goal ball. So go ahead, Eliana, give it a good shake.
That's what the bells sound like, and it's solid. It's not soft. It does not bounce.
It doesn't bounce. It doesn't have air in it like a basketball. So it's a little bit of a heavy ball, but that's your goal is, like she said, it's reverse dodgeball. So we want to jump and block the ball. We want to jump on top of the ball. So 3 versus 3 during the game, all 3 players working together. You have 3 positions. You have a center, plays in the center of a court. You have a left wing, and you have a right wing. And
just imagine everyone on the court is like a soccer goalie. You're trying to block the ball from going into the net. You're just working in unison to block the other team's ball from going into the net.
Very good. Yeah, it's like 3 soccer goalies working together. That's perfect. That's how I describe it to people who've never seen goalball. It's bowling meets soccer, but you're blind. And that's what makes it super unique and super cool. You know, we play goalball on the weekends at Wayfinder Family Services. Callahan and Eliana are going to talk a little bit at the end here about how they train for goalball. Does anybody have any more questions during our little water break before we go on to our next skill?
Okay, I have a quick question for you guys. Someone can either unmute and say it or put it in the chat. What were the 3 things I said to be aware of when you're practicing defense? What 3 body parts do you have to check?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's a good question. We'll wait. We'll give people a chance. Give them a chance. Good, good. I see people working on it. 3 body parts to focus on defense. So think about it. We started in the cannonball position, and then from the cannonball position, we shot out, right? So think about how you're laying down, like you're Superman or Superwoman. What were the 3 body parts when you were stretched out, like Superman or Superwoman? I see people working on it. Give them another 30 seconds. What 3 body parts? And this is a good review if you weren't here. Okay, so Summer says arms, legs, and hands.
So close, Summer. So legs, I say feet, but legs is also correct. Like you want to make sure the legs are stacked. So that's great. Arms and hands also go together. You want to have your hands together, but you want to make sure your arms are not just flat on the ground. They're up a bit. And then the third thing that I really, really, really want to make sure you guys all protect is your head. Make sure your face is tucked. So don't forget that one.
Very good, Summer. Yes. Arms and hands, we think of them as one. Your legs, getting them in the right position, but also your head. Always got to protect your head from that ball. Like we said, the ball is not soft. So wherever your arms are, you're always going to tuck your chin, and that's how you protect your head. Very good, guys. Very, very good.
Great job, guys.
So we are now going to work on what is going to be the Goalball challenge for Saturday. We're going to introduce the challenge, and this is a drill that we do called the perfect game drill. So for this one, I'm actually going to talk about it, and Eliana and Callahan are going to demonstrate how we do this drill. So this drill is both for fitness and to practice some of the skills that we just talked about. So go ahead and get set up in your space. So you have your clear space around you, okay? And everyone can start on the ground on their hands and knees in their ready position. I'll give you guys a second.
Josh, am I good on the screen?
Yes, yes you are. So we're going to do our challenge. So it's called the perfect game. So Goalball is a very fast-paced game. You're throwing the ball, you're blocking it, and you're getting right back up and throwing it again. There's a 10-second timer. So from the time that I throw the ball at the opposing team, as soon as they touch it on defense, they have 10 seconds to find it, grab it, and roll it back towards my team. So it's a very fast game. So part of how we train for that is make sure we have good cardio, and we want to make sure that we're practicing those skills in quick succession, okay? So we're all going to start in our ready position. So you can start like Eliana. She's on her hands and knees. Cal's on his knees, ready to go. And so what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do for the challenge is we're going to slide either to the right or to the left. Doesn't matter. So go ahead. You're going to do your slide. Stretch all the way out. Remember, we're thinking about our hands, our legs, and our head. Okay? As soon as you slide out, good form, you're going to go back to the ready position. Now you're going to do 3 push-ups. Go ahead and do 3 push-ups. You can do them fully extended. You can do push-ups from your knees. Okay? And then back to the ready position. Then you're going to slide to the other side. So whichever opposite of whichever slide you did before, you're going to slide the other direction. Perfect. Think about head, hands, and feet. Very good. Then you're going to go back to the ready position. And then from here, you're going to stand up and you're going to do 3 jumping jacks. Very good. And then you get back in your ready position. And we're going to call that 1 cycle, okay? So in a perfect game, you'd be doing all those movements in quick succession. So that's gonna be one cycle. So the challenge that we are going to introduce for Saturday, so Saturday stream, when you come back, we're gonna have live on the air, we're gonna do a challenge with the Paralympians. We're gonna see how many of you can complete that cycle in 2 minutes. How many cycles can you do in 2 minutes? I want you to compete against yourselves. So just a little demo. I want everyone to have their space. We're gonna do 30 seconds. I'm gonna time for 30 seconds, and we're gonna let Callahan and Eliana demonstrate. You guys can do it at home too. So remember, we're gonna slide one direction, back to ready position, 3 push-ups, slide the other direction, back to ready position, stand up, 3 jumping jacks. That's 1 cycle. So you only have to worry about 2 slides, 1 set of push-ups, 1 set of jumping jacks, okay? Cal and Eliana, give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready. All right, I'm gonna get my timer going here. Get my stopwatch. Okay, we're gonna do 30 seconds, okay? So listen for my voice, everyone in their ready positions. Ready and go. So remember, we're gonna slide, go back, do 3 push-ups, give a slide in the other direction, go back, stand up, do 3 jumping jacks. Perfect. Back to the ready position, do a slide, halfway there, 15 seconds, good. Push yourselves. Very, very good. Get those slides in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Very, very good. Give yourselves a round of applause. Very, very nice, everybody. Eliana, how you feeling?
Good. It was a good minute.
Cal, how you feeling?
I'm feeling winded. It's hot in the living room.
It is. You got that summertime indoor heat. Very, very good. Okay. So let's do a quick recap of the day. Let's go ahead and Eliana, do you want to lead the recap of the defense one more time? We'll go through it really quick. We can practice the cannonball drill one more time. Then Callahan can go over the steps one more time. And then we will get into our next.
Sure. Okay. So recap of defense. Like we've been drilling head, hands, feet, and then hands and arms are similar, feet and legs, but just have those 3 points. And like I said, you can practice this anywhere at any time. So you can get in your cannonball position, knees to chest, arms around your knees, and then explode. A big thing with goalball is power and explosion. If you're just waiting there for the ball to hit you, it's probably gonna go in. So you're hitting the ball, like you're exploding, you're powerful, you're strong. So get in your cannonball position and then practice the explode. And then check your hands, check your head, chin to shoulder, check your feet.
Very
Flex
good.
your legs, make sure your top leg is in front of your bottom leg.
Go ahead, Eliana. Give us a couple reps. Those are good. I want people to be able to see.
Is this a good spot, Josh?
Perfect. I can see you perfectly. Cannonball. And how quick you spread out. And you can practice this anywhere. You can practice this inside. You can practice this outside. This is the very, very basics of defense. So think about that ball's coming. And the nice thing, don't forget, this is almost like a sideways plank. So Eliana's not just sticking her arms out and her legs out loosey-goosey. She's tightening those muscles. She's making a wall. So when that ball hits her, it's going to stop right in its tracks.
My feet are off the ground. The only part of my leg that's on the ground is above my knee. And my arms, my elbows on the ground, and the rest of my hands are up.
Eliana, let me ask you this. I know this is a popular question when I teach. What about your stomach? Are you worried about getting hit in the stomach? How do you make sure that doesn't hurt?
You know what? You're going to get the wind knocked out of you. It's part of sports. And sometimes it hurts, but sometimes you just absorb it.
But so do you guys at your workouts, do you focus on your core? Do you, what are some secrets to strengthening that area of a goalball block?
Yeah, getting good core muscles. We do lots of planks, like Josh was saying, side planks, front planks. Well, we've been doing lots of Russian twists lately. And the thing is, if the ball's about to hit you, if you're diving, like I said, if you're going to explosion, you're flexing. Your stomach's going to be flexed. And so if you're flexed and it hits you, you take it a lot better than if you're just kind of laying there waiting to be hit by the ball. Like, don't be passive as a goalball player. You got to be active.
Yeah. So what we mean by that is we're thinking about the ball's not hitting us. Think about we're diving on top of the ball, or we're diving in front of the ball. We're using our bodies to block the ball. So very, very good. One more question for you, Eliana, when it comes to defense. Is there a certain spot on your body that you're really trying to hit the ball, or does it matter any part of the body? Are you trying to block it with your chest or your arms or your legs? What are you trying to do?
Great question. So I try to get the ball ideally between my shoulders and my knees, because that's like the thickest part of my body. Your hands and your feet, you can try to be strong, but there's less surface area. So the chance of it hitting those and getting tipped into the goal is higher. But like hitting me in the chest or my shoulders or my thighs, that's more body to stop that ball. So we try to kind of, and this is for another day, but when we hear the ball, we kind of try to shift over to where we hear it to put our bodies in the best position to block the ball.
Perfect. So the target area, if you can, like she said, the biggest part of your body, which is from your shoulders and your chest down to your thighs above the knees. That's ideally what we're trying to hit when we're blocking a goal ball. But you're tall. You got to use your whole body. That's why you have your hands and your feet. You want to get them out there just in case. But if we can, we're trying to block it with our trunks, and that gives us the best chance to slow that ball down.
Absolutely.
Okay. Callahan, do you want to demonstrate and talk about throwing one more time? We'll do a quick recap on the throwing skills.
Yes, I would love to, Josh. So, as we talked about before, it's a three-step approach where you're bringing the ball backwards, taking one final big lunge, and ripping through and rolling the ball on the ground forward. So, am I in the camera?
Yep.
Okay, so
a little bit.
for all your, for all the, what's up, Josh?
I just want to move it down just a little bit more. If your head gets cut off, I want them to be able to see your steps. So go ahead and move the camera down for me. Perfect. So that way they can
Okay,
see.
so for all the right-handed people, you're going to start with your left foot. Second foot is your right foot. And this is where you're starting to bring the ball back. Your third step is that big lunge with your left foot, and the ball is now coming forward. You're throwing it, and then you have a follow-through step. And if you're left-handed, you're going to start with your right foot. Your ball's at your hip. You take a right foot. You bring your left foot forward, and this is when you're bringing the ball back. Then you take a big lunge with your right foot, coming through with the ball getting real low and releasing the ball, and that final follow-through step with your left foot. So it's 3 steps with the ball, and then one final follow-through step without the ball.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Callahan, when you're throwing the ball, is there anything you're trying to do that's special? Are you trying to spin it? Are you trying to get it as smooth as possible? Are you trying to bounce it? What are you trying to do when you throw it?
So I'm so tall that I have a really hard time throwing a smooth ball. So all of my balls are very skippy. And the biggest thing that I'm trying to do is put topspin on the ball. And by that, I mean that I'm literally ripping, I'm digging my fingers into the ball and pulling. When I'm releasing the ball, my fingers are pulling up, putting spin on the ball. Like when you go golfing, golfers put spin on the ball. So whenever it hits the defending team, it's going to hit them while it's still spinning in the air and crawl over their body and go into the net. So when I'm coming through in that third step, when I'm taking that big lunge, I'm pulling up with my fingers like I'm squeezing the ball almost. And as I'm coming through and hitting it into the ground, I'm pulling up so that it spins. It's going to go quicker. It's going to be harder to block.
Okay. And so you said you skipped the ball. Now, is that legal? I want to make sure, because we were talking earlier about not throwing the ball through the air. It's like bowling. So are you allowed to skip the ball?
Yes. So there's a high ball line on our side of the court. And on the other side, there's another high ball line. And so that's called the long ball line. I mean, it's not called the long ball line, but for this sake, we'll call it that. And so in goal ball, the ball has to hit before our high ball line and then bounce again before the other high ball line. So I can bounce the ball. It's going to land before my high ball line. And then as long as it lands before the second high ball line, which is the other team's, it's legal. But if it goes past, so if I bounce it and it bounces the whole way over past their long ball line, that's called a long ball. And so that's the same thing as throwing a high ball in terms of a penalty, where you have to defend the entire court. So when you're throwing, you can either throw a high ball or a long ball, and both are penalized where you have to defend the entire court for one throw.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So for those of you who are new to goalball, we referenced bowling when it came to the throwing a lot. So we want to remind you guys, the motions that we're doing with our body, our steps and our approach are very much like bowling. We want to release the ball low to the floor. We want to take those steps and get moving as fast as possible before we let go of the ball. But the one difference is the ball can bounce a little bit. It can skip a little bit, which is what you're not trying to do in bowling. Okay. So thank you, guys, for teaching those skills. We have a little bit of time here left. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start a little Q&A with Callahan and Eliana. And I have some questions I'm already thinking about for them. So I'll ask each one of you guys specifically. But while I'm thinking of questions, if you guys have questions for Callahan and Eliana about goalball, about being blind, about what they use for assistance, if they use guide dogs, if they use canes. If you have any questions for them, type them in the chat and we'll try and read as many questions as possible. But I'm gonna start with some questions and I'll start with Eliana. We'll do ladies first. So Eliana, can you give me a quick background of how old were you when you started goalball and how did you even hear about goalball?
Yeah, so I learned about goalball when I was 14 or 15, around that age. And I learned about it because 2 Paralympians in the sport of goalball moved to Portland, Oregon, where I'm from. And I met them and they were holding practices and told me about it. I grew up loving sports and being athletic, but we didn't have a lot of adaptive organizations in where I live at that time. Since then, it has changed. So I didn't really grow up immersed in adaptive sports or understanding Paralympic worlds. And so that's why I'm really passionate about trying to work clinics and help camps and teach goalball to everyone at all ages, because I wish I would have known about it earlier in life. But that's how I learned about it, was from 2 Paralympians at the time. And I started training and practicing with them. And it just grew and grew for me, from something I enjoyed to something I love to something I've dedicated a better part of the past 4 years of my life too.
And how old were you when that happened?
When I first learned about it, I was 15.
Very, very cool. Callahan, the same question. How old were you when you heard about goalball and how did you hear about it and learn a little bit about goalball? Oh, hold on, you're on mute. Hold on 1 second, Cal, you're on mute. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, the host muted me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, wasn't me. So when I was 12 in middle school, I was involved in this program called Homes, where we would go to a local IU school district and learn how to cook and clean, just like activities of daily living for blind people. And so through this, they taught us about sports, and we had demos, and we learned how to cook and all that fun stuff. But one day, a sports camp near me called VIP Sports came down and did a goalball demo, where these slick guys came down dressed up in their really nice uniforms and these cool bags, and they came and played goalball, and it was awesome. And at the time, I played football, basketball, I did track and field, probably still played baseball. But with my eye condition, my vision was progressively going away, and so I was slowly but surely losing the competitive edge in sports. And so I found a sport when I was 12, and that was goalball. And ever since then, I've been practicing and training with Team USA. I went to my first training camp when I was 15 for the USA men's team, and I traveled for the first time with the team in 2017, going to Malmo, Sweden, and Turkey, Lithuania.
Very, very cool. And okay, so this question I'll ask Callahan first this time. What is it that you really love about goalball compared to other sports for the blind? Is there something that sets goalball apart for you that makes it more special?
So as I stated before, I played a pretty wide variety of sports growing up. And so with that, in my vision, I don't have any peripheral vision. My acuity's becoming lower. And then I just started losing that competitive edge and the enjoyment in the sports. So after a while, it no longer became fun to play these sports, more of a chore because I couldn't really compete. And then once I found goalball, I was finally able to compete at a sport where everyone was on the same playing field. So everyone was wearing blacked out ski goggles. So no matter how much vision you had or didn't have, everyone was still trying to block the same ball and do the same thing of scoring the goal. So the equal playing floor for everyone who's trying to play is my biggest love for the sport. It really brings the group together because there's no way to have an advantage over another besides your physical abilities, but your vision is equal for everybody.
Got it. Thank you. Eliana, same question. What is it about goalball? Is there something about goalball specifically that draws you to that versus other sports for the blind?
My answer is similar to Callahan's. In goalball, with vision loss, it's a spectrum. Like my vision loss is different than Cal's vision loss, is different than like any of you guys. We all experience it differently. But with goalball, no matter if you're completely blind to having some sight to even if you're completely sighted and you want to try it for fun, vision is entirely eliminated from the playing field. And with goalball, not just in sports, but in life, it's the only thing where vision is completely gone. And you're not feeling like you're trying to compensate or keep up with everyone else. And you're just completely all equals and you can be an athlete first. Like Callahan was saying, you can just focus on getting as strong, as fast, as in shape, as powerful without having any limitation. And so when you're competing, it's completely equal. And it's one of the only sports and one of the only times in life where you're 100% on equal playing field with everyone else around you.
Good. Okay. Well, I still don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to keep asking the questions that I have and that I want people to know. So my next one is, what are some ways for young athletes who are blind or visually impaired, or even if they're not, maybe they just want to learn more about goalball? What ways, Eliana, I'll ask you first, what ways do you recommend for them to learn more about goalball, or how can they get involved?
I say reach out to your local organizations. Depending on where you're from, I know that if you guys are from California, there's Wayfinder. I'm from Oregon. We have Northwest Association of Blind Athletes. I know in Pennsylvania, they have Envision Blind Sports. So reach out, use your resources. If there's, sorry, niece. If there's any resources out there, like there's vocational rehabs, commissions for the blind, reach out to those places. Use your vision instructors, your O&M instructors. And there's resources out there. So look for them and use them. And that's what I wish I would have done earlier. And that's why I say do that now.
Thank you. Cal, what do you have to add to that? What are some ways for young athletes who want to get involved and learn more about goalball?
So a great resource to learn more about goalball is just searching it on YouTube. I mean, that's the most like basic way that you're going to see what it is and how it's played, get demonstrations of like what it is. But another large resource is going to be the United States Association for Blind Athletes. On their website, there's many different resources that you can use and find, such as calendars of tournaments. There's going to be how-to guides, how to play offense, how to play defense, how to coach. That's a big thing too, is that we're trying to grow the realm of who's interested. And so if we can have a general consensus of what is a good strategy of how to coach a person who's blind or visually impaired, that's unified, so that way we can just spread an overall general consensus to all these different people and have similar products coming out of the different regions that Eliana had mentioned. So I think that Googling goalball and getting like a good feel for what it is and how it works is a good resource, but then also going to USABA, their website, which is usaba.org, and just going through their resources and utilizing all the information they have available on there.
And get your friends involved, your family, your siblings. Like I think a misconception is that you have to be blind to play. And yes, you have to be legally blind to compete in the Paralympics. But anybody can play for fun. Callahan and I, at our separate colleges, both spearheaded college programs, and we got our friends or other college students who were sighted involved on teams. And we started collegiate tournaments for people. And so it's really important that we raise awareness and education on the sport, because any other sport, if you look at Paralympic swimming, Paralympic track, Paralympic sitting volleyball, any of those sports have an able-bodied partner sport. But goalball was created adaptive. So that is a great thing, and it can be difficult because people don't have an able-bodied sport to compare goalball to. But also, we're not adapting goalball. Goalball is adapted. So that's really cool, and I think it's important to have people with complete sight try out the sport and see what it's like and raise their experiences. So get anyone involved. You don't have to be blind to try it.
That's a good point. Like you said, I know a lot of people don't think about goalball because they're not visually impaired. I'm not visually impaired, and I've been coaching goalball for a long time. I actually started coaching with Callahan. I learned about goalball through Callahan and started helping out at my college with a adapted sports program. And that was huge for me. So for those of you who want to learn more about goalball or any adapted sports, you don't have to have a disability to be able to do that. I want to see really quick before I have a couple last questions for our Paralympians. Is there any questions in the chat? I don't see any questions yet. If not, what I would like to do is show a quick little video of goalball. So we're going to do this over Zoom. It might be a little bit choppy, but you can watch it or listen to it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen. Okay. 1 second. We'll do now. Green. Cal, Eliana, can you see the? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you can see the.
I can see it, Josh.
Okay.
Same.
We're gonna play this video.
Excitement.
Strength.
Consuming. Challenging.
This sport is a very unique sport because it's the only sport played in the Paralympics that isn't adapted from another sport. It's created on its own specifically for people who have low vision or are blind.
Fun.
Dynamic.
The thing I love most about goalball is that it's the one sport that I have ever played that I have so much confidence in my ability of playing the game.
Goalball is played on a court that is the same size as a metric volleyball court. It is 18 by 9 meters, and all of the lines that are on the floor, they're tactile, and they can be felt by the player's hands and feet.
The competitiveness of the game is really awesome, and also just the team aspect.
A goalball game consists of 2 12-minute halves with a 3-minute halftime where the players switch ends of the court.
People with disabilities aren't limited. We're capable of doing really anything that we want to as long as we're willing to put in the work.
The object of the game is to throw or roll the ball on the ground and get it past the opposing team across the goal line to score a goal. A goal ball itself is about the size of a basketball. It weighs just under 3 pounds, and it has bells inside of it so that it can be heard when it's being thrown.
Play.
Wild.
Empowering. Awesome.
Okay. So it's very, very cool. Like I said, it's a super unique sport. It's hard to, over Zoom in a virtual workout, it's hard to really grasp goalball, but we wanted to give you guys a few pieces today. Some of the basic skills that you can practice anywhere, anytime, even while we're all at home right now. You guys have a chance. You can still work on your goalball techniques. the last thing I will say before we wrap up our session, and if anyone wants to talk to Eliana or Callahan, they can stick around for a few minutes. But last question, I'll ask Callahan first. So this will be Callahan's first trip to the Paralympics in 2020. And Cal, I just want you to tell them just a little bit overall about your journey and what you're most excited about for 2020. Move to 2021, but Japan.
So my journey really began, I initially wanted to go to the Rio Paralympics, but I devoted that time to get my undergraduate in college. And so I was not committed to the team enough. And so in 2017, I moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I started my Paralympic journey to make the USA team, where I started traveling and training every day. And from there, I've been to the World Championships, numerous tournaments throughout the world. But the most, I'm just excited to get to experience the entire environment and to have that drive to win the gold medal at the Paralympics, the highest stage possible. Just getting to feel what it's like to win a gold medal at a Paralympics is what drives me every day. So
awesome. Thank you. I'm super excited for Callahan. It's been a long road. I've known Callahan for a long time and how hard he's been training. Eliana, I want to ask you the same question though. This is going to be your second Paralympics. What do you think might be different this time? What are you most excited about? And what do you want to challenge yourself?
My first Paralympics was amazing, but I was kind of still getting my footing on the team. And similar to Callahan in 2017, I moved out to Indiana so I could train full time and commit all my energy to improving. And I'm really excited to kind of take more of a leadership role on the team and help see like what we can do working together as a team. When you train so much together with people and you have one common goal, it really like unites you for better and for worse. And the environment walking into Rio in Brazil for our first game, it was 9,000 people in the stadium and it was insane. I've never experienced anything like it. And playing on such a high world stage for something that you love and you're passionate about, like that's a dream. And so to get to live your dream is amazing.
That's super cool. And speaking of Rio, you might have something there, right, to share with people.
Yeah, I can do that.
Eliana is very modest. She doesn't like to be put on the spot, but hard work pays off. For those of you who don't know, at Rio at the Paralympics in 2016, USA, we were the only country that had both men's and women's teams medal in the sport of goalball. So Eliana has her bronze medal. Go ahead and hold it up close for anyone.
Here's my medal from Rio. So on this side, there's Braille. So that's really cool. And the Olympic and Paralympic medals were the exact same. The biggest difference is that they made the Paralympic medals, they make noise. So the gold medal is the loudest, silver medal was next, and then this one was a bronze medal. So it's quiet. My friend said that I got a medal and a maraca in one. So it's really cool though, because if you can't see, then this gives you a way to know the difference in the color. And there's Braille, and you can feel on the front, it's all etching of Paralympics, and on the side it says USA Goalball. So it's really cool to have won one of these. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so I'm hoping both of you guys bring some more back.
Double gold. That's the goal.
Yeah, we have a last couple of questions here that I will ask. So one of them is from Jody, and Jody's question is about goalball being a blind sport, which is we actually probably didn't talk about a lot, or being a silent sport, which we didn't talk about a lot. So Callahan, do you want to touch on that really quick about how the sport is played in terms of sound in the stadium?
Yeah, of course. Hey, Jody. So the way that goalball is played is that whenever your team controls the ball, your team is allowed to talk and whatever and communicate as much as you want until the ball is released. The team on defense is allowed to talk the entire time while they're trying to block the ball, to communicate where they think the ball is going, if they have it, if it's loose, communication is a big element of goalball that's kind of missed, because once you hear that it's silent, you want to stop talking and you don't want to over talk. And so the whole premise of goalball is you're supposed to hear where the ball is, but you got to remember it's a team sport. So on defense, you got to communicate, hey, the ball's on the left, hey, the ball's on the right. And the offensive team is allowed to talk as much as they want, here again, until the ball is released out of their hand. And then as the crowd, there's only certain times where you're actually allowed to cheer and go wild for the people on the court, right? So whenever there's a goal or the ball goes out of bounds, those are the only times really, or timeouts or halftime, those are really the only time that the crowd is able to cheer or say anything. And that goes with the coaches as well. So the coaches can't talk unless there's a stoppage in play. So the only people for the majority of the game talking are the players on the court. Everyone else is supposed to be dead quiet, making sure that the players on the court can hear the ball and can play the game fairly. Because if the crowd's too loud, not everyone's going to be able to hear the ball, limiting what they're able to do during the game.
Yes. Thank you, Cal. So like I said, it's a very unique sport in that aspect too. Most people don't know. When you're a coach and you're on the sideline, it's hard sometimes. You want to be able to talk to your athletes. You want to be able to correct them, but I can't. I got to sit there completely silent and trust that they're working on it and they're doing their things that we train to do. And yeah, it's also very unique. When you think about the Paralympics, you think about people in the stadiums cheering as they see athletes running down the track or swimming in the pool. But in goalball, we're in there and we're totally silent. So if Callahan or Eliana makes a breathtaking save with their fingertips, we can't cheer. We have to be quiet. We can only cheer after a goal. So it's kind of funny, and it's a unique sport in that aspect. We have another question. Eliana, I'll let you take this one, and then Cal, you can add to it too also. Is there any opportunities in college or for scholarships, either in the U.S. or internationally, if you know of? So you can just talk about the colleges and then possibly any scholarships.
Yeah, so for college, like I said, Cal and I both, he went to school in Pennsylvania called Slippery Rock, and I went to school in Portland State. There was also some other colleges. Cal State Long Beach had a team. A lot of on the East Coast, Callahan may be able to touch more on what those were. But yeah, so we're trying to make it bigger on the collegiate level, get more involvement, get colleges to have more involvement on having like it as I always mess this word up, but intramural,
yes.
I can't say that word, sport. So a lot of colleges have programs called adapted PE. And so a lot of those students will kind of get involved with it. If your school has a kind of a big inclusive, so at Portland State, we also had wheelchair basketball as a sport people could play for fun. And we also did sitting volleyball. So yeah, every college is different, but we're trying to make it bigger on the college side to get college students the opportunity to try adaptive sports, either if you have a visual disability or if you don't, to get that education. And as far as scholarships, there definitely are. So there's a scholarship called Challenged Athlete Foundation, CAF, and they will give a scholarship to, if you apply, you're accepted, but you don't need to be a Paralympic athlete. You just need to be an athlete with a disability wanting to play adaptive sports. So definitely Challenged Athlete Foundation, CAF, is a huge, huge opportunity that definitely take advantage of. Callahan mentioned USABA earlier, United States Association of Blind Athletes. They have scholarships that they give out, and those can also help for tuition for school. So if you are a blind athlete and you apply to those help. I've gotten a couple of those before. So there's tons of scholarship opportunities out there. Take advantage. There's also the Women's Sports Foundation. So if you're a female and you're an athlete, you could look into them. But there are a lot of scholarships out there for if you're an athlete and if you have a disability. So definitely utilize them. I have applied to a ton and gotten some, so it's worth it.
Thank you, Eliana. And then Cal, really quick, do you just want to touch on the not the NCAA, but the college tournaments that you guys have started at Slippery Rock, and some of the colleges participate, and how that's going?
Yeah, so I went to Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh, and Slippery Rock's about like an hour north of where I lived. And so we started a club goalball team, I guess was the name of it. And we were probably the best one in the country. And so we traveled to Portland twice to compete, where we won one of them. And then we also hosted a collegiate national championship at Slippery Rock University that we won. And so what we did, we really wanted to bring a club sport vibe where we would bring sighted athletes from all different colleges. So we had 12 different universities at our national championships. So we had Portland State University and then a whole bunch of other East Coast universities there. So, and what we did is we tried to get them to have at least one visually impaired or blind person on each team. And if they couldn't do that, we still let them enter as a club sport because everyone's blindfolded anyways. And so by doing that, we were able to spread awareness to the sport and also start club goalball teams at all of these schools. And so by doing that, we're just spreading, we're being advocates for the sport, we're getting more people involved, and then we're getting these universities to invest money into these sports and then hopefully have the programs keep growing. And they actually still hosted tournaments after I graduated because I was the founding president of our club team. And so with that, it's really cool to see the sport to continue on and to see people still playing at the university level.
Thank you, Cal. Yeah, Cal and Eliana both have done a great job with helping expand this to college athletes. Like they mentioned earlier, they both have experience starting as young kids at sports camps and just programs for the blind, but now they're trying to build it out for college athletes and college students who are blind who may not know about goalball, but also just college athletes or students who are interested in helping in adapted sports and learning about adapted sports. And they're both doing fantastic jobs with that. So what a day. It was the opening day. Opening ceremonies were fantastic. This is the first ever goalball experience at the Angel City Games, and we are so happy to be partnering with them from Wayfinder Family Services to bring you guys goalball and learn about goalball. If you guys want to stick around for a minute or two and ask Eliana or Callahan a question, we'll be here for a couple minutes. If not, there's tons more stuff happening this week. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow is the, correct me if I'm wrong, Jody, is tomorrow the concert or Thursday's the concert?
Who's the concert?
Tomorrow is resource night.
Oh, yep. Tomorrow's resource
And
night.
the concert is Thursday night. Tomorrow we're having the resource night at 5 o'clock.
Perfect. So if you guys are interested in that, resource night, fantastic. Like Eliana was talking about scholarships, other opportunities, assistive technology, all kinds of different things. Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Eliana and Callahan will probably be back here for a Wednesday workout. We're going to do a goalball themed workout. So we might touch on the skills that we practiced today. We're definitely just going to get our heart rates up and get moving. We're going to have a lot of fun on Wednesday. And then Saturday, we also have the goalball challenge. So like we practiced today, we're going to do the perfect game. We're going to call it the goalball gauntlet. How many can we do in 2 minutes? So you'll start in your ready position, slide one way, 3 push-ups, slide the other way, back to ready position, do your 3 jumping jacks. That's one cycle. So you can start practicing now. And we want you guys to be able to showcase that. So you can take a video or a picture of you doing the goalball gauntlet. Please stay tuned to the Angel City Sports Portal and angelcitygames.org for more up-to-date info. So much going on. We're so happy you guys could stop by. Before we leave, let's give a big thank you to Eliana and Callahan for helping us out. Thank you. I'm very appreciative of you guys sharing your expertise and teaching some goalball skills.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on here.
Thanks for having us. We love teaching goalball and spreading awareness. So
Awesome.
come back on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And vote